Well, it's that time of the year again, Grammy nomination season. On November 8th, the Recording Academy revealed their nominations to much fanfare and controversy, as always. I'll be fully transparent, I never cared too much about the Grammys, as they're really not all-inclusive as to what really, truly good music looks like. But as I am a music channel, this is kind of right in my wheelhouse. So this is the first year that I have had a channel during Grammy season, so I figured I'd take a stab and kind of give my analysis of some of the categories and offer a few predictions of my own as well. There are a whopping 94 categories for nomination. The nominations are very broad, so I'm definitely not going to go through all of them. I'll pick about 15 categories and give my analysis and predictions for categories that resonate the most with me and my tastes. Let's get right into it. Let's start with the most high-profile nominations, which includes 4 categories, starting with Record of the Year. There are some interesting nominees, from the Beatles to Kendrick Lamar to Charli XCX to Beyonce. Of the 8 nominees listed here, I really would like to see Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us win, as that was the song of the summer of 2024, as well as a crucifixion of one of the wackest rappers of all time. Will it take the crown? I'm really not so sure, as influential as this song is. Now, I also really like the Charli XCX pick, as I think Brat is just one of the most fantastic pop albums in recent memory. And while Not Like Us was the song of the summer of 2024, Brat was the album of 2024. It was a Brat summer indeed. But I think Record of the Year is going to go to Taylor Swift for Fortnite, as she's omnipresent, she's everywhere, and even if she's not the most talented artist on this list, she has the pull within the Academy. I can also see Beyonce winning for Texas Hold'em, or Billie Eilish for Birds of a Feather. The Recording Academy really loves Billie Eilish, Beyonce, and Taylor Swift. On to Album of the Year. There are really some interesting nominees in this category. So Outkast's Andre 3000 gets a nomination for his strange new age hour-and-a-half New Blue Sun. I respect 3 Stacks in his art, but I just really wish he would squash whatever creative differences he and Big Boi have and get back to making Outkast music, though I'm pretty sure we'll never see that happen. I think Cowboy Carter is a solid pick, as it really does kind of follow up on some great Beyonce albums that we've gotten in the last decade, and it really does continue to show her evolve as an artist, as it is basically a country music album. But the album I really want to see win is Brat by Charli XCX. I cannot stress just how awesome of a pop album this is. It's infectious, it's iconic, and for me, it's the record of 2024. But again, I think the Swifties are going to have another reason to celebrate, as I'm going to project that Tortured Poets Department brings home the hardware, as weak as that album actually is. Song of the Year, it's got to be Not Like Us. It just has to be Not Like Us. That's my prediction, that's what I want. I wouldn't be entirely mad if Billie Eilish took it home for Birds of a Feather, and I also think Sabrina Carpenter may be a dark horse favorite, but my money lies on Kendrick Lamar. Best New Artist, I think will go to Chappel Roan or Sabrina Carpenter. Doechii and Shaboozey might have an outside shot, but I think the rise and fall of a Midwest princess and just how big that album is right now and how iconic that's been for 2024, I think that gives Miss Roan the hardware. Best Pop Solo Performance is well represented by some of the most powerful women in music, and again, with any category that Charli XCX is in, I will be pulling for her. In this case, it's the song Apple. But my prediction is either Bodyguard or Birds of a Feather, and honestly, I wouldn't be mad at either of those. Best Dance or Electronic Album, it has to go to Brat. It just has to. Personal bias or not, none of these other albums hold a candle to Brat, let's be honest. If it's not Brat, then I'm probably going to smash my TV. Best Rock Performance is kind of interesting this year. The Beatles having a new single is always kind of weird all these years later, and I wasn't a fan of the Green Day or Pearl Jam albums, so I'll probably pull for the Black Keys in this situation. But honestly, I think the Beatles are going to end up with the Grammy some 54, 55 years after they broke up. We'll segue this into Best Rock Album, which honestly, I just don't really like any of these nominees. I will say that Jack White album was pretty high quality stuff. I was actually surprised how good that album is. Fontaine's DC is a band that I need to familiarize myself more with, but honestly, at the end of the day, I think and I predict that it's going to be either Pearl Jam or Green Day, and do either of those artists deserve the Grammy in this situation? Probably not. Over to metal for a second, as you have some great bands that have resurfaced years after their heyday here in the nominations, such as the French band Gojira, which actually performed at the Olympics in Paris this past summer, but they really haven't released a truly great album since 2012, although you do have Judas Priest, who released an insanely good album earlier this year, one of their best albums in probably close to 2 decades. And then of course you have the obligatory Metallica nomination, and honestly they haven't done anything good since the early 90s in my opinion. The nominee I like here the most though is Knocked Loose. They're becoming one of the most visible and recognizable bands in metal, and they're my pick to take home the Grammy for the song Suffocate. I think the nominees for the best R&B albums are just garbage, so I'm not even going to go into them. I will talk about the progressive R&B category, which does feature some intriguing nominations. I think that Childish Gambino actually has a pretty good shot here, even if I didn't love the record. And I think Kalani will also probably contend, but what I want to see win is that Anderson .Paak and Knowledge project, No Worries. It was kind of in your face and raunchy, but instrumentally, musically, it was a fantastic record. And out of all these records, it's the one that I'd like to see win. If I were to make a prediction though, Childish Gambino. Best rap album. Best rap album. This is my specialty. There's one obvious pick that I want to see win here, and it's that Pete Rock and Common project, which I just thought was fantastic. I caught them both at the legendary Blue Note here in New York City back in September, and it was just one of the most awesome shows I've ever seen. The album is excellent, and it really shows great chemistry between two artists that probably did peak about 25 years ago. So it's really refreshing to see them come back with such an effort here in 2024. The rest of the list is really hit or miss. That J. Cole project, I'm sorry, it was very weak, as was the Eminem album. Doechii is a really exciting new artist who I do think has an outside shot at the Grammy here. And that Future and Metro Boomin album is one that I actually enjoyed. I usually gravitate away from music like this, but I just thought Metro Boomin was great on this record and Future really held his own. So I want to see Pete Rock and Common win, but realistically I don't think that'll happen. I think it does go to Future and Metro Boomin, and of course if they do win, they can thank Kendrick Lamar for the assist on Like That. Best rap performance, we have two Kendrick Lamar entries. Of course we have Not Like Us, but we also have Like That. I would hope that Not Like Us takes it home, and I kind of think that'll happen, but we do have some other interesting nominees. Don't sleep on Glorilla, Cardi B, or Doechii for that matter. I absolutely love that Pete Rock and Common track with Pasta News from De La Soul showing up, but I actually think that if anything, this album and these songs from this album are on here just to keep the purists kind of tuned in just a little bit. A lot of hip-hop purists don't really respect the Grammys. I've forever been one of those people, and what you'll see a lot of times is the Recording Academy kind of digging deep into hip-hop, and one of the most introspective projects from the year is sort of a conscious album that appeals to purists will often make the list with a nomination, but it doesn't really have a snowball's chance in hell, let's be honest. Although I hope I'm wrong. So if I'm going to make a pick here, it's either going to be Not Like Us or Glorilla's Yeah Glow. And same deal also for best rap song, Not Like Us or Yeah Glow. Now, I really don't give a shit about country music, but how funny is this? Beyonce and Shaboozey taking up 40% of the country music nominations. There might be riots in Middle America if either one of them win Best Country Solo Performance, and I'll be sitting back with my popcorn if so. So Latin pop is interesting. You have one of Brazil's biggest pop stars in Anitta with her second nomination here, and she's definitely a unique pop star, but she hasn't really caught on in the US just yet, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Shakira's up for a nomination as well, not really a surprise, even if that album isn't very good. I really actually like that Kali Uchis project, Orquídeas, and honestly, I think Kali's gonna win this. Best music video, this has to go to Not Like Us, which is the most iconic both song and video in my opinion of 2024. Let's be honest, the song pretty much defined 2024 from a musical standpoint, and the video was pretty influential and widely played as well. It's really cool to see Charli XCX here, of course, and then you have A$AP Rocky's Taylor Swift competing with Taylor Swift. Honestly, I think one of the Taylor Swift or Swifts will win this one. So I'm missing about 75 categories here, but I can't speak on things like children's music, gospel, or bluegrass. So I'll just go ahead and end this here. I just wanted to share a few thoughts about a few of the high-profile categories. Let me know in the comments what you think is going to win for these categories or what you want to see win. And if you like what you see and you want more music content, I love it if you subscribe to the channel. And for a full list of the nominees, check out the link in the description below. Thanks again for tuning in.